Hi, it's Megan. So I've been doing book reviews on my regular blog for a very, very long time. And now I'm doing a lot more on YouTube. And so I'm trying to move the book reviews onto YouTube as well. I'm not sure if that's a good idea or a bad idea, so any comments are welcome. But I am trying it. So the book today is The Upside of Down, which is written by McArdle, and the subtitle is Why Failing Well is the Key to Success. And so McArdle is she's a graduate of the University of Chicago's Booth School of Management. She was a journalist at The Economist, and now she's at The Atlantic. And she also writes and is a correspondent for a whole bunch of other very prestigious magazines. Bloomberg View, I guess she's now at Bloomberg View. She was at The Atlantic. Newsweek, she appears on MSNBC, Fox News, and NPR. So she has quite a great vantage point from which to write a book and comment on failure. I like the idea of commenting on failure. I grew up in and out of Silicon Valley. My parents are immigrants. I worked with tech companies, especially earlier stage ones, for a long time in my career. And you know what? Without risk and taking risks and sometimes failing, you really can't do much that's great in life. In fact, there's a little joke up in Silicon Valley, which is the venture capitalists say, fail, fail again, fail one more time, and then I'll fund you. And that's just because we very often learn more from failures than from success, right? That's all very cliche. But somehow, in a lot of parts of this country, and I'm excluding Silicon Valley, failure is just not considered that great. And indeed, even in Silicon Valley, they say fail fast, recover, learn, move on, don't fail too many times. There are all kinds of stuff about failure. It's a very, very loaded topic. And since I've been working in kind of the education field lately a little bit, found that parents today maybe don't let their kids take enough risks. They don't let them learn to fail and learn that they can kind of survive that and move on and come up with solutions to problems and whatever. So I think this book is very timely. The basic chapters: failure is fundamental, how a brain scientist and a psychologist helped me stop procrastinating. 2, the virtuous society, what 2 economists and an anthropologist can teach us about free markets. 3, the experimenters, why there are no guarantees in Hollywood or Silicon Valley. 4, accidents, mistakes, failures, and disasters, what the hospital system can teach us about mistakes we make. 5, crisis, what a bad breakup can tell us about the GM bailout. 6, admitting you have a problem, what Gamblers Anonymous could have taught Dan Rather. 7, getting unstuck, adopting the way of the shark. 8, blame, storming, and the moral of the financial crisis. 9, punishment, why consistency is the secret to breaking bad behavior. 10, forgiveness, how I learned to stop worrying and embrace easy bankruptcy, though not personally. And then the last chapter is coda. So basically, McArdle looks at failure in 2 ways, I think. One is kind of her own personal story, and that I found interesting, but a little anecdotal, not really that supportive of much of a thesis. So that would be my criticism with the book. I really enjoyed reading about it and learning about her life, but I didn't really think it was great for an argument that she was making in the book. The second way she kind of talked about failure was as a journalist would. She did the research and she came up with some examples and she supported her main thesis that way. I totally agree with that. She did a really good job on that part of the book. Thought her thesis was a little bit weak in that I wasn't sure what this book is meant to be. Is this a book on risk and failure personally? Is it a book on risk and failure in the business world? And where it falls apart a little bit is that ambiguity, but I want to caveat that, because one of the problems I personally find with books on things like creativity, or they're just all business focused and they really ignore the whole person. So I think she made a reasoned judgment and it weakens the book in some ways, but I personally, again, got a lot more out of the book because she didn't narrow herself into either all personal or all business. Or so, you can make a certain kind of editorial, authorial judgment like that, and it weakens the book in one way, but it strengthens it in other ways. So I actually liked that choice much as I felt that it didn't fall into kind of the cliche of the business book, which I was expecting. And sometimes we're reading for the cliche, we're not reading for the actual book itself. We're just so pre-programmed and trained to think a certain way. So I really like that part of the book. So overall, I recommend the book very highly. As much as it's not a perfect book, and I think the thesis could have been better. I think the anecdotal evidence that she used about her personal life could have been structured better, but overall she pulls the book out at the end, and I really, really liked it. And her premise is one that is just not explored enough and not explained enough, and that might be why she wasn't able to find as much precedent in writing her book and was allowed to get a little bit more original in it. So this is the book, and I have really mostly good things to say about it. I recommend reading it, and it's not that hard to read. That's the other, I guess, judgment call the author made, is that she decided to make a more readable book as opposed to a more heavily documented book. So overall, I give it a B+, A-, which, given this type of book, is not very compelling. I mean, this is not, you know, a Stephen King page-turner. I think it's a pretty good score. So that's it. If you've read this book, I would love to hear comments. If you have feedback, questions about it, that'd be great. I think that's it. I'm still not super slick and super smooth on these book reviews, and part of it is just I don't know how long to make them. I like short videos, so I'm going to try to keep it short. If you have questions, ask me. I also do videos for my education book. It's Parent Focus, Get Your Child to the Top, and I think that's it. Thanks.